Okay, good morning or good afternoon, or gosh, maybe you're doing this after dinner. So, good evening, too. So, I wanted to show you how to get to your next assignment. So, at this point, you should have completed the Nearpod and checked that as completed. You should have also submitted the little activity, My Science Personality. And so now we're ready to actually set up your scientist notebook. So as you click and go in, remember that you'll just click on classwork and we'll scroll down right here. Now, I know that you had a science notebook last year in seventh grade. We also are going to use them in eighth grade. And so today we want you to get those set up. Whether we are doing this virtually or when you come back into the building, we expect you to have this science notebook ready to go. All right. So you'll notice that there is something to submit for this. And what you'll submit this time is you will actually, after you get your notebook set up, you're going to take a picture of the inside of that notebook to show me that you have it set up correctly. And then you will actually submit that picture. Now, you can take a picture with your phone. You can also just take, you guys should know how to use your Chromebook and take a picture. When you take a picture, the picture might end up just on your desktop of your computer. Some of you might know how to take that picture and put it into your Google Drive. If you have issues with figuring out how to submit it, we will work through that. So don't worry about it. The big thing, though, is to work on getting your notebook put together. So when you click on this, what we did is just put together a science notebook Google slide instructions. So, first thing is, do you have a notebook? So, we want you to have one of the marble notebooks. Remember that if you don't have one, you can just drop by the Robinson and you can ask for one at the front office. You can just say, I need to get one of the science notebooks to use for Miss Buck's class, and they're going to just hand you one. Okay. All right. So this actually, and again, unless you are a new student to Robinson, you probably have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. All right. So put your name on the front. If you have like a permanent marker, that's really the best thing to use because remember, eventually you'll be back in the building and you will want your name on that. Couple of reminders. If you've already completed the Nearpod, you know that I really just have a couple of expectations. I just say don't cause a problem. If you do, I'll do something about it. You need to be your best self. I do expect you to display focus and self control. And please don't forget that our expectation right now is that at the beginning of your scheduled science class that you are conferencing with me. All right, so we're going to set these things up. We've got a couple of pictures in here. We like to show these to kids because it's important for you to understand that scientists really do use these. Even in this digital world, scientists still use just a paper interactive notebook. And that's because it's just easier to sketch and draw. And you can look and see all of the different things that are on these actual scientist notebooks. We've got a couple of rules. Please don't color in the cover. I know that some of you think that's cool to doodle in and color all that white space in. Please don't do that. Don't rip it, the pages or anything. I've even had kids tear the front covers off. I'm not sure what's up with that. This is your science notebook. I think you also have a math notebook in some of the math classes. You may or may not have a history notebook, but this is not just a notebook that you can use the paper for anything. It needs to be designated for science class. We're going to ask you to number every page. And whether we're doing this online or in the building, we expect you to have your notebook. We do grade them. And believe it or not, we grade them usually at the end of the 9 weeks grading period. And we will figure out how to do that. But just so you know, and you can look back at this, this is the rubric that tells you what we're looking for. So we're just going to walk you through it. You'll follow these instructions. We suggest you go ahead and number the first 100 pages. You can put the page numbers in the upper corner. We like the first 4 pages to be set aside for your table of contents, and we'll talk more about that later. So at the top of your pages 1 through 4, just write table of contents. Starting with page 5 through page 20, we have a starter section. So we suggest you at least go ahead and write the word starter at the top of page 5. So you know pages 1, 2, 3, and 4 are your table of contents. Starting with page 5, you'll be putting starters in there. And then the end of the starter section is page 20. So that's kind of a good place for you to write the word starters at the top as well. On page 21, you will start your notes section. And just write the word notes at the top of page 21. So sometimes you'll see our instructions will be, please go to the next clean page in your scientist notebook. And that means you're in that note section somewhere, okay? All right, then go all the way to the very, very, very back of your scientist notebook. And I want you to count back 10 whole pages. So just kind of, if you lift one page up, front and back is 1. And you'll count backwards 10 whole pages. The last 10 pages in your scientist notebook will be for vocabulary. So just like an actual, if I gave you a science textbook, you'd have a table of contents in the front. You would have a vocabulary or a section in the back. And you would also have lots of information. Well, that's the way yours is going to look at as well. We let kids pick one page as your doodle page. You can put that anywhere in the notebook you want. I tell kids if you're for having some direct instruction or you feel like you're having trouble focusing, if you need to doodle a little bit during class, that's okay. So we let you decide that one page can be your doodle page. Just, I don't know, just pick a random page, whatever, 57 can be your doodle page if you want, okay? All right, so once you've got all that set up, we want to do a couple of practice things with you, all right? So we said that your starters would begin on page 5. So you'll turn to page 5 in your notebook, and I want you to write the date. I don't remember what date you'll be doing this on. Let's see. Well, whatever date you are. So technically, I think this is Thursday's lesson, but whatever date, we always want you to date things. And then you're going to write this. You're going to actually write this out. Scientists are currently hard at work on developing a coronavirus vaccine. Which of the following would most interest you to work on and why? So, in other words, if you were invited to work with a group of scientists right now on one of these science problems, which one of these would you choose? That's part of the answer. And then why? And guys, in 8th grade, we are usually looking for at least a paragraph answer. We consider, kids always want to know how long, and I hate doing that, but because I know if I don't, some of you will write one sentence and be done. We like to see 5 to 7 well-written sentences. So just think about, do you feel like you want to work on global warming? Are you interested in space exploration? Would you like to work with a group of scientists who are working on different treatments for cancer? We certainly have many endangered species. Near-Earth objects, if you don't know what that is, there is concern that we have an awful lot of asteroids and other near-Earth objects out there that we don't do a very good job of keeping track of them. And so there's a lot of concern that they could somehow potentially um, crash, I guess, into the earth. And if we knew they were there, we could do something to prevent that. So that's what that's about. You can Google that and read more. We always have trouble with pollution. The United States is doing better at that, but certainly there's a lot of other countries that are not. Genetic engineering. We'll talk more about genetic engineering when we get into life science. But holy moly, we've just got lots of exciting things going on in that particular area. So if you think you might be interested in genetic engineering, or you Google that and read about it, you could put that as your answer. And if you are interested in joining a group of scientists to work on the coronavirus vaccine, then that might be your answer. But remember, it's not enough to just write down one of these. I'm looking for a why as well. So I'm looking for a paragraph. Again, you can Google information about each of these and read a little bit before you make your decision. Once you practice doing that starter, so we want you to have that practice starter in there, we also want you to practice doing a vocabulary word. All right. Now, here's how we do our vocabulary words in 8th grade science. We will ask you to draw a square like this for each vocabulary word. Now, guys, you can get several squares on a page. We usually expect you to get 4 squares on a page. And so what you'll do, and some kids get more. So you'll draw this square just like this and divide it into these sections. When I give you a vocabulary word, you'll write the word here. You're going to describe the term here use your own head, use your words. Okay, I want something that means something to you. Notice we have create a model here. So we'll talk about models, but we know you talked about them a little bit last year. Remember that a model can be anything from a diagram to a math equation. So you'll put a model there and then put related terms here. So I have an example for you, okay? Here's an example. Here's one I did. Let's say that I asked you to do the vocabulary word and the term I gave you was melting. So you would write the word here, okay? Here's my description. Well, that's because I think about ice, right? So that's when something's solid, it melts. Well, what does that melting mean? Well, it means that the ice or the solid substance has absorbed enough energy, okay, to cause the particles that make up that solid to separate away from each other and begin to move faster. And I know that you guys talked about this last year in your chemistry unit. And when that happens and those particles can begin to move past each other, we term that as melting, and we would say our substance has turned into a liquid. So here's my model. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's some particles right there, and they're close together, and they can only vibrate in a fixed position. And now enough energy, probably should have drawn, I should have drawn an arrow, added an arrow or something and put energy there. Now enough energy's been added, usually in the form of heat, that we see those bonds start breaking apart from each other. The particles can move, and now I have my liquid. And then I just went ahead in my model, well, what if I keep pumping energy into that system? If I keep pumping energy into that system and get those particles moving even farther away from each other, then we can talk about the substance becoming a gas. All right, so there's my model. And then for related terms, okay, I would put things like, well, what's the opposite of melting? Okay, so instead of adding energy in, if I remove energy from a system, then if I am going from a liquid back to a solid, that's freezing. And then I thought, well, about other states of matter changes, phase changes. So I wrote phase change, and I added condensation and evaporation and boiling. So this is an example of what I expect. So on the next slide, we want you to try to add your first word to your vocabulary section. And the first word that you're going to do is just the word science. So what you'll do is you will click right here and you'll watch just to help you out a little bit. You might not even need any help, but just to help you out a little bit, we want you to watch this video and then you will draw this in your vocabulary section and you're going to complete this square for the word science. All right, so then you're not done. You've got your notebook all set up, but look back what it said right here, okay? You have another thing to do. When you have your notebook complete, so you've set it up, you have done your practice starter, and you have done your practice vocabulary word, I want some proof that you have done that. So we've asked you to open the notebook up to either the starter or the vocabulary word that you completed. So if it's the starter, I should see a nice paragraph. If it is the vocabulary word, I'm going to see that square completed for the word science. And when you're done, you're going to take a picture and upload it so I know you have your notebook complete. Now, again, guys, notice that what you're going to submit is a file upload. You're going to submit a file upload. So let me see if I can get over here very quickly. Let's see, let me X out of this. And Canvas was a little slow for me today. So let me go. This is just a practice class for me that kind of lets me be a student. So let me go and grab this so I can show you what it will look like, hopefully on your end. All right, so when you are ready, this is super important, okay? So when you're ready, notebook's ready and you're ready to submit your picture, I want you to notice something. You have to click right here. This always gets kids confused because they're like, well, I didn't upload anything yet. How can I submit it? Canvas works a little bit differently. You have to click submit assignment. Think of this as you're saying, I am now ready to submit my assignment. I am now ready to submit something. So you click it and notice that you're going to submit this. It's a picture, so it's a file. So right here, you'll just select choose file. And this is my stuff on my computer. If you took your picture and you told it to just save it on your desktop, then it's going to be right there on your desktop for you. If you took your picture and it saved it in your Google Drive, then you'll just go over there. That's just saying that while I'm pretending to be a student, it's not going to let me have access to that. And again, if you have any issues, okay, if you have any issues and you can't figure out where your picture went, we'll work through it together. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. I can conference with you virtually, and we'll figure out together where it is. When you get it uploaded, all right, so I'm just pretending here. So I'm going to pretend I took a picture with my Chromebook and it's on my desktop, and there it is. It's a picture right there, and you notice I clicked open and now it's there. It's saying, oh, this must be the picture you want. Well, you're still not done. You've got to click submit assignment right there, okay? So now I'm going to click the green button again, and there it goes. And I have submitted it, okay? Oh, look, I got little confetti. Yay! Okay. So remember, the first time you hit the green button, you're saying, I'm ready to submit something. You click it. Then you will attach the picture that you took to prove to me that you set up your notebook. Then you hit submit assignment. And then, yay, you get confetti. Okay. All right. Get those notebooks all set up for me. Bye.